inversion. Software version 7.0. Looking at life through the eyes of a tired heart. Eating seeds is a pastime activity. The toxicity of our city.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Hey guys, it's your favorite uncle, Uncle Ray. And that was Billie Eilish at the Grammys after winning an award. Spreading lies. Guys, spreading lies. And as your uncle, I feel it's my duty to teach you a little lesson. She says no one is illegal on stolen land. She received a lot of backlash lately in regards to stolen land. Stolen land, right? So her house, her Malibu beach house, is on stolen land. And the thing about it is the Tongva tribe, okay? Remember, the Tongva tribe, they were the ones who inhabited those lands before the Europeans came along. And by Europeans, we don't mean the English, we don't mean, the Irish and whatnots, right? We mean the Spanish. The Spanish came to this part of America, on the west side of America, the west coast of America. They came and they became the colonizers who basically took over, right? They conquered the land and then they owned the land. At one point, California was part of what was known as New Spain. Okay. So, when we talk about stolen land, let's talk about stolen land. Let's talk about how the Europeans, the Spanish, the people who came from Spain, the conquistadors, let's talk about how they stole the land. No, well, we don't use the word steal. We don't use the word stolen. We use the word conquered. The Spanish, the conquistadors, they came and conquered the stolen land, or we talk about now, stolen land, okay? But people will still make the assumption because they're uneducated, and as your uncle, I am here, I feel it's my duty to educate you in regards to why this is not stolen land.
Hey there, ever wonder how a single piece of paper could change the map of an entire continent? That's exactly what happened in 1848 with the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. In just 3 minutes, I'm breaking down how this treaty ended the Mexican-American War and shaped the future of both Mexico and the United States. Let's set the scene. It's the late 1840s. The US and Mexico have been locked in a brutal war for almost 2 years, fighting over disputed land, especially Texas. The US Army pushes deep into Mexican territory, even capturing Mexico City. Both sides are exhausted, and something's gotta give. Enter the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, signed on February 2nd, 1848, in a small town near Mexico City. This treaty officially ends the fighting, but its impact, way bigger than just peace. First, the borders. The United States gets a massive chunk of land, think California, Nevada, Utah, most of Arizona, New Mexico, parts of Colorado, Wyoming. That's about half of Mexico's territory at the time. In return, the US pays Mexico $15 million, about $500 million today, and promises to respect the rights of Mexicans living in these newly American lands. On paper, it sounds straightforward, but the reality, not so much. For Mexico, it's a national trauma. Losing so much land hurts their economy and pride. For the US, it's a jackpot of resources and new states. But it also opens a can of worms, especially about slavery. Will these new territories allow slavery or not? That debate heats up, leading straight to the Civil War a decade later. And what about the people living in these lands? The treaty says their property and rights will be protected, but many Mexican citizens end up losing land and facing discrimination under US rule. So why does the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo matter today? It set the stage for modern America's borders, transformed the lives of millions, and left a legacy that's still debated in classrooms and courtrooms. It's a reminder that treaties aren't just signatures, they're stories of people power and the price of peace.
So long story short, California, Nevada, Utah, Wyoming, Arizona, New Mexico, maybe Idaho, Montana. It's not stolen land. $15 million, that is what the U.S. paid for it, for all this land. It's not stolen. But if we are going to accuse someone of stealing land, again, let's talk about the Tongva tribe. Let's talk about how there were Native Americans here in the United States. Natives who got their land stolen by the conquistadors who created New Spain. Also, if we had Aztecs, why did we name Mexico instead of keeping it at Azatlan? A lot of Mexicans, especially the ones here who grew up in the United States, you don't know your history. A lot of you want to say you're Aztec warriors, but you don't want to, or you don't know that there was no such thing as Aztecs. In reality, you were Mexicas. Mexicas were the native, not Aztecs. The Mayans were there, but the Mexicas were also there, and then they were not the Aztecs. And that's how you come up with Mexico, because of the Mexicas.
There was never a population of people who called themselves the Aztecs. They called themselves the Mexica, M-E-X-I-C-A, which looks shockingly like Mexico because that's where we get the word Mexico from. They said they were from Aztlan, and what happened was, about 150 years ago, anthropologists in some Ivy League school decided they were sick of writing Mexica, and they couldn't differentiate then between pre-Columbian Mexico and post-Columbian Mexico, and so they came up with a new term. So they took Aztlan, the place that the Aztecs said they were from, and made Aztec so that they could get away from using Mexica.
The Aztecas are not who you thought. When we talk about the powerful empire that inhabited the Valley of Mexico before the conquest, we usually call them the Aztecs, but the truth is that they are not called that. The Aztecas were the inhabitants of a mythical land known as Atlan. According to legend, around the year 1064, the gods silopodically promised them a new land full of wealth and power that they were to found, where they found an eagle perched on a cactus devouring a snake. After 200 years of pilgrimage, they reached Lake Texcoco in the year 1325. Upon seeing the eagle, as the god had indicated, they founded the city of Mexico Tenochtitlan. Over time, the city became the center of the powerful empire that would dominate Mesoamerica. Once they arrived in their new land, the descendants of the land of Atlan adopted the name Mexicas. The word Aztec did not appear until the 17th century, when Anglo-Saxon historians mistakenly used it to refer to the Mexicas. The term became so popular that it ended up becoming the most widely used by the international community.
So in short, for everybody who says they're an Aztec warrior, everyone who believes in the fact that they have Aztec blood, you're wrong. Now, again, let's talk about stolen land.
Have you ever noticed that Los Angeles is a beach city, but downtown LA is not near the beach? The LA River, which was the original source of water. But how did they know to build upstream instead of at the beach? Well, the Native Americans showed them, duh. The Pueblo, now city of Los Angeles, was basically built on top of Yagna, the indigenous Gabrielino Tongva village, a center of commerce and decision-making for the entire region. They built Yagna away from the beach, upstream on the LA River, or Pajaime Pahait, I think that's how you pronounce it, where there's a consistent source of water from the river and the springs it creates, and also not immediately next to the river where it periodically floods. And the Spanish colonizers were like, great idea, let's steal it, and also let's force the natives into slavery to build our Pueblo for us. And the rest is history. All the Tongva villages were situated next to good sources of water, be it a river, creek, or spring, because once again, water is life. And once again, Native Americans had it all figured out before colonizers stole it from them, including many of the names themselves like Topanga, Cahuenga, Pacoima, Tahunga, Cucamonga. Sound familiar? All stolen village names we still use today. And yes, all of this is history. There is a massive city with millions of people from all around the world here now. But it's important to honor that history so we don't forget that the original Tongva inhabitants are still inhabitants today.
Long before Los Angeles became the city of dreams, it was Tongva land. For thousands of years, the Tongva people lived across what is now LA, Orange County, and the Channel Islands. They called themselves Kij, the people of the willow houses, and built complex villages connected by trade, storytelling, and spirituality. They were canoe builders, star watchers, and land stewards who thrived off the Pacific coast. But in 1769, everything changed. Spanish colonizers marched in, building missions and enslaving the Tongva in the name of religion. Their population plummeted from 5,000 to just a few hundred. And yet the Tongva never disappeared. Despite centuries of erasure, they're still here, fighting for recognition, sacred land, and language revival. That Hollywood sign, it stands on stolen Tongva land. So does Dodger Stadium, Beverly Hills, and downtown LA. This isn't ancient history, it's ongoing. The Tongva are still telling their story, waiting for the world to finally listen. Outro CTA. If you're in LA, you're on Tongva land. Know the name, share the truth.
So when Billie Eilish says that no one's illegal on stolen land, when is she going to give her land back?
No one is illegal on stolen land. And yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter. And I say sorry.
But back to the Tongva. Tongva would like the land back, Billie Eilish. hypocrisy is real, y'all.
Now, I didn't want to talk any more about the Grammys, but then Billie Eilish happened. And, well, you need to hear this, if only to marvel at the sheer audacity of modern celebrity reasoning. Now, as you know, Donald Trump is rounding up people living in the US illegally. Democrats are outraged, naturally, because feelings now outrank law, history, and even basic logic. Never mind borders, never mind rules, never mind consequences. Feelings first, everything else is optional. Have a listen to Billie Eilish's piercing logic when addressing illegal immigration last night.
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Well, that is peak celebrity logic right there. If nobody's illegal, then nothing's a law. And if nothing's a law, then you no longer have a country. You just have a shopping mall with no security. As we've pointed out many times, those who insist that the United States, or indeed Australia, has been built on stolen land, never offer to give back their homes, which by their own logic exist on stolen land. But here's the thing that angers me most. These multimillionaires who sit there cheering for the destruction of the West, what do they do after the show? Well, after the show, they all retreat behind the gates and high fences of their secure estates. In other words, they stir up revolution, knowing full well they'll be perfectly fine behind their moats. It's the rest of us, unpaid extras in the elite's moral drama, who have to deal with the mayhem resulting from their arrogant, illogical, and hypocritical posturing. I tell you what, their ignorance is astounding. Great performers, though.
So, a guy from Australia he made a prank that he was going to fly out to Los Angeles and he was going to move into Billie Eilish's house. And then, because no one is illegal on stolen land, so it should be okay for him to move into her house. Well,
ever since Billie Eilish and her handlers / team and staff decided to make the ultimate decision to actually call ICE and detain and deport an Australian prankster at the airport, we have seen a second wave of backlash sparking and making headlines right now and going viral across all forms of social media, and how in turn this is creating a major division, not just within, of course, Billie Eilish and her team, but also with Paramount executives. And we're going to be diving into exactly what's going on over there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. And thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So as we discussed this in the previous post, there's been a lot of things going on with the aftermath of Billie Eilish calling ICE and getting this Australian prankster / troll deported at the airport and detained, who was questioned, by the way, for 30 plus hours. This is the prankster, by the way, that made a joke that he was going to essentially move into her mansion since, you know, basically she said that there is no such thing as illegal immigration on stolen land. Specifically, word for word, she said that nobody is illegal on stolen land. But we know one thing about all of this is that there's a lot of things going on when it comes to how she's now dealing with serious consequences. She's actually getting punished by a lot of executives out there. So let's dive into that. Now, we know one thing about Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas, which, by the way, her brother Phineas, he is on an anti-Trump agenda train on social media on a daily basis, mind you, posting story after story on Instagram about anti-Trump this, anti-Trump that. It's also exhausting, and it's exactly why it's costing them fans left and right. However, with the Billie Eilish backlash now at its worst point after she decided to call ICE and detain an Australian prankster who was later deported, and how this in turn makes her out to be a hypocrite, one major development going on now involves more to do with Billie Eilish and the consequences that she is now beginning to face over her stolen land remark, and how she inflamed the situation by ordering her handlers to call ICE and detain and deport an Australian prankster, and how that is now making headlines and going viral. already Paramount executives and producers responsible for putting together her new movie due for release on May 8th called Billie Eilish Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour in 3D. They are already in the process of not just slashing funds for the marketing campaign, but now they are officially scrapping and canceling many appearances that Billie Eilish was supposed to actually participate in as part of the press tour. Now, already Paramount canceled over 20 press tour locations for Eilish to promote her film. And to make matters worse, get this, Paramount executives also canceled plans to advertise her film in the heart of Times Square on various buildings. And they are also canceling those plans as we speak. Now, what hit Billie Eilish the most by Paramount after she called ICE on the Australian prankster / troll is that Paramount is now advising to keep both director James Cameron and Billie Eilish separated during whatever appearances that they do decide to make to promote the film in any way, shape, or form. In addition to this, Paramount is also already and reportedly slashing the number of theaters that this movie will even debut in to begin with, since they are beginning to lose full confidence in the film's performance and box office metrics due, of course, in May. Now, this, of course, is creating an uproar from both James Cameron and Billie Eilish's team. But most of all, Billie's brother Phineas is now blaming Paramount executives for bowing down to the Trump administration, which holds zero connection to all this decision-making.
So long story short, again, nobody is illegal on stolen land. But yet, a prankster, a guy who made a prank, said on video that he's flying out to Los Angeles to move into Billie Eilish's mansion, which she has on stolen land from the Tongva tribe. She got with ICE, got with the Department of Homeland Security to basically intercept that guy at the airport and send him back to Australia. Very hypocritical. And again, it's stolen land from the Tongva tribe. Conquistadors from Spain stole it from the Tongva tribe. Not just the Tongva tribe. You got the Chumash. You got the Luiseño, Cahuilla, which here in the Coachella Valley, we got the Cahuilla Indians, right? You got the Kumeyaay, the Serrano, the Tataviam, and the Kita Namuk, primarily inhabiting the coast, inland deserts, and mountains from Ventura to the Mexican border. These groups, many of whom have federally recognized bans, developed complex maritime or inland hunter-gatherer cultures. And to further explain, you got the Chumash Indians. Now, when I went up to Solvang, the Chumash, they even have their own casino up there near Solvang. It's literally called Chumash. Historically based in the coastal regions of Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties, known for their plaint canoes. Again, you look at Ventura, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo. Those are all Spanish names. Why are they Spanish names? And it's the Spanish that stole the land from the Chumash. Now you have the Gabrielino Tongva, inhabited the Los Angeles Basin and Channel Islands. I showed you a video earlier and it told you exactly who they were. You got the Cahuilla, located in the inland areas, including the San Bernardino and San Jacinto Mountains, and the Coachella Valley, comprising 9 main bands. I mean, there's like the 29 Palms Band of Cahuilla Indians. There is the Agua Caliente Band of Cahuilla Indians, so on and so forth. The Kumeyaay, also known as Diegueño, primarily located in San Diego County and into Baja California. Luiseno, situated in southwestern California, encompassing areas in Riverside and San Diego counties. Serrano, Tataviam, and Quitanemug, inhabited inland areas including parts of the Antelope Valley and Mojave Desert regions. Federally recognized tribes include the Agua Caliente Band of Kauai Indians, San Manuel Band of Mission Indians, the Serranos, Siquan Band of the Kumuye Nation, Santa Ynez Band of Chumash Mission Indians, Morongo Band of Mission Indians, the Kauai and the Serrano, and then you got the Pala Band of Mission Indians in Louisiana. There you go, y'all. So like I said, not just the Tongva. There are many other Indians up and down. Not Indians, Native Americans. Why do we call them Indians? Oh, because Christopher Columbus got lost. Thought he was in India when he showed up in America. Decided to call Native Americans Indians because he was lost. Shout out to all my Native American people out there that, you know, that's the truth. The truth is Columbus got lost. Thought he was in India because that's where he's trying to get to. He's trying to get to India for spices. And he didn't even end up in the United States, the continental United States. He ended up like in the West Indies, essentially. Like Jamaica or some shit. Anyway, irregardless of the fact, if you want to talk about stolen land, it's a stolen land from the Chumash, Tongva, the Kauai, so on and so forth. The conquistadors from Spain came and stole the land. Europeans came and stole the land when they were in Mexico or Azatlan. The conquistadors stole the land from the Mexica. And again, if you are out there calling yourself an Aztec warrior or your Aztec blood, so on and so forth, you are wrong. You have a Mexica. If you have that native blood in you, you're a Mexica, where Mexico gets its name. The Mexica, Mexico. Again, this is your Uncle Ray educating you, and I hope you have some knowledge. And when you listen to these pop stars and these celebrities who tell you these lies, come back to Uncle Ray. Uncle Ray will teach you what the truth is. Peace out, y'all. Uncle Ray loves you.
Every day you wake up, you got a decision to make. To go right or left, up or down, right or wrong. At the end of the day, you make the decision. Nobody forces you. So make the right decision. Make moves, set the goal. Stop making excuses, man. And if it look like a duck, walk like a duck, and sound like a duck, it's a duck. Stop guessing. Just do the right thing. You heard? You hear me? I love y'all. Stay positive. Love one another.
All right.